You can't believe in the Word of God if you regard as Catholics people who respect and esteem false religions. They respect all religions, okay? They have signed agreements that we shouldn't even convert non-Catholics. Now, what we have to realize is that this crisis has been predicted. Jesus says that the abomination of desolation will be in the holy place. We see the great apostasy spoken of in 2 Thessalonians 2 with the man of sin sitting in the temple of God. He talks about the deception being so profound that even the elect would be deceived if that were possible. Okay, we have the great harlot, which is clearly contrasted with the bride of Christ. We've had anti-popes. We've had massive confusion. And so it's not incompatible whatsoever with the promises of Christ to his church to have a great apostasy. Look at the scandals. By their fruits you shall know them. Now, this isn't necessary in itself to prove the point, but you look at the fruits of that, the sex scandals, the mockery, the priesthood. They can't condemn even a pro-abortion politician. I mean, it is a church of total apostasy. It's not the Catholic Church. You are in communion with those who are pro-abortion. You can't even tell me that they're not even Catholic, because you're not Catholic. You have a profession of external faith with people who have publicly for years favored the murdering of children, okay, who reject the one teaching your sect claims to care about. They don't care about the papacy. They don't care about the necessity of Christ for salvation. They don't care about, the integrity of only worshiping the true God. They couldn't care less about that, but they claim to care about abortion. But what do? They give, quote, communion and praise and declare as the servant of Christ those who favored abortion obstinately through their lives. It's a sect of apostasy, and if you can't see that they're not Catholic, well, then you are, at this point, not just you, but anyone who's seen the evidence, in total darkness. The religious indifferentism is everywhere in their writings. As I mentioned earlier, Benedict XVI explicitly says that Protestantism is not even heresy. What's the point in being Catholic? According to their heretical religion, if you believe they are Catholic, when they regard as Catholic those who are they regard as inside the church, as having salvation, as representing an acceptable religion, those who are founding Protestant monasteries, leading schismatic delegations, and rejecting Vatican I, of course they do. No one in his right mind who is honest could say Benedict XVI believes you have to be Catholic for salvation. He doesn't. To say that is a lie. And if you don't believe that, you're simply not a Catholic. That's a dogma. And so the doctors of the church all teach, who have addressed this issue, that a pope who would become a manifest heretic would automatically cease to be pope. It's critical that we understand that point. And this is so common in the teaching that even in the Great Western Schism, when they're trying to figure out how to resolve that crisis, they recognize that if you were presented with a persistently heretical claimant, he would not be considered pope. And that's why even the Catholic Encyclopedia, while not obviously definitive in itself, it taught that a person who is a heretic who claimed to be the pope would not be the pope. And that's why St. Antonius says that a pope who is a heretic would automatically cease to be a member of the church, and he would therefore cease to be the head of the church. And I just wanted to give the quote here, because Leo XIII says, "It is absurd to imagine that he who is outside can command in the church." Innocent III said, in Eis Exemplar, the one church not of heretics. Here's a quote from St. Francis de Sales. "Now, when the Pope is explicitly a heretic, he falls ipso facto from his dignity and out of the church." St. Robert Bellarmine says it, St. Antoninus says it. It flows from the dogma that heretics are not members of the church. And are they heretics? I mean, of course. If you don't believe they're heretics after you've seen the evidence, if someone doesn't believe that, that person is just a liar. As I said, you could prove it literally from the teaching on Jews. John Paul II sent representatives to the commemoration of the Jewish synagogue, and he said that the Jews can boast of having spread Judaism. So Benedict XVI addressed Chief Rabbi of Rome. Okay, so I was going to stop.